Hello everyone, welcome back into another episode of Elden Ring Unpatched, our Fear the Old Lore playthrough. Last time we had a little bit of technical difficulties, so we had to cut the stream short because my internet just kept dying, so hopefully that doesn't happen again this time around. So, the time before that, we had gone through pretty much all of the side areas of Volcano Manor, doing as many of those quests as we could. So we obviously left off with leaving Juno Hoslow alive because we haven't gone through the Forbidden Lands and the Mountaintops of the Giants yet. So after we did that, we did come through the first area of the Divine Towers and we fought the fellow Omen twins. And then we just came on over here, and I thought this would be a good place to stop the last stream, well, the last working stream, and so now we are in the Forbidden Lands. I hope everyone is doing well. Mortis, Katie, Stella, Vacuous, Boris, Mercy, nice to see you all again. The one good thing about going to work early means you can actually show up on time. Nice. Pest Threads is wild. Nice. Congrats on getting Placidus Axe. Alright, so the curse sentence last time was more or less just comparing the two types of Aurora looking like things we have going on. So as I mentioned at the end of the one stream, I've wondered whether or not the kind of red wisps in the air are supposed to be similar to the kind of golden wisp that you would get in the Site of Grace. So I wonder if the red tendrils here are related to either potentially the Flame of the Giants or a different kind of Erd tree. And there's a couple different explanations one can come to. So, like I said, there's the Forge with the Giants, and this stuff almost kind of looks like flame, so they would almost seem to be related, but I don't really know about that. Another possibility is this could be related to the Helfen tree, since we have prophecies of cardinal sin within the Erd tree, according to like the prophet set that Corrin wears. So, could this be related to the Helfen? Maybe. Or maybe this is also related to the form of the actual Erd tree during the time of the Crucible, when Godfrey was Elden Lord, because it is a bit of a more reddish gold than we get out of, let's say, the Golden Order style Site of Grace. But that's, of course, just some pretty big conjecture there. Then there was another thought that I had yesterday, and I can't seem to remember it right this second. So, Mortis's character is now level 390. The computer better come soon, or you're going to have brain rot from rune farming. You don't need to farm that much, Mortis. What New Game Plus cycle are you on, by the way? I'm just curious. 18 Sith, welcome back. Boris said, on your first playthrough, you were convinced giants were made of stone because of this area of the map. That's totally understandable. That's something that can happen, in real life, like the fossilization of bones and calcium, where it just becomes more stone-like over time. So, I'm excited to show that stuff off. Hey, Rat, welcome in. Demon Souls 2, indeed. Honestly, I do really feel like Stormvale Castle feels like the spiritual successor to Castle Boletaria. What group do I feel the most bad for? I was gonna say, like, the spirit animals. Mountaintops of the Giants seem to have some funky connections with the spirit world, so you'd bet on the Helfen connection. Yeah, the Helfen is kind of my immediate guess, but man, I really wish I remembered what the last one was, because it was something other than Helfen. Maybe it was just me connecting it to the prior Erd tree, since it has like a more of a reddish hue than that stuff. So this could be like more akin to Primordial Gold. Maybe that's what it was. Hey, Astonex, welcome back in. Yeah, I was saying something about the Forge, and then bam, the stream is out. Yeah, it's like every time I talked about this being potentially related to the Forge of the Giant, it just crashed on me. Feels bad, man. Mortis feels bad for the Omen, because you like to think having an Omen body would be cool, but the torment of pain souls of the no. You were here and didn't hear anything on until you checked the tab. Yeah, my internet just kind of pooped the bed yesterday. So, alright. Going on through the Forbidden Lands. And through here, we're going to run into a bunch of like the pygmies. And since these dudes show up in the Bestial Sanctum, I wonder if they're supposed to be connected to Malekith. Not just because of that, but because of their propensity to actually use the reddish-black flames of destined death in some of their attacks. Let's try to get maybe only one at a time. Alright, so there it is. And as you see, since I got hit, I did actually take a damage over time effect. Now, I don't remember in retail whether or not like it shows your max HP being depleted, but at the very least, that dude right there just used like a beast incantation, which is supposed to channel the power of Geraint as the beast clergyman. So they might have a more explicit connection that way. Alright. Yeah, we didn't even really make it like 10 minutes yesterday before I had to end the stream. What really interests me in a game, you've only ever seen me play FromSoft titles, Destiny and Fallout. Honestly, story is a big part, but since I've gotten older, it's a lot harder for me to stay as invested in like single player games. Like those are probably my favorites. Like JRPG used to be my genre, but let's be real here, like the quality of a lot of JRPGs just aren't what they used to be. I mean, obviously there's still some like really good games that come out, but like my attention span has just become so much worse as an adult. I blame the Facebook. Not really, I don't really use Facebook, but yeah, social media and just the faster pace of the way we live makes it a bit more difficult. Oh, I thought this one had an item in it. Okay. So anyway, this rock that I've been going through is a little bit more than a rock. As we look further away rather than closer, we can see that it is the skull of a giant. And this kind of skull is found in a couple different places. There's here, obviously. There's going to be more on top of the mountaintops. And then we could also see them by the Great Jar and the cliffs over in Caelid and Celia, which is pretty crazy. It does lead me to believe that the Forbidden Lands, the Mountaintops of the Giants, and Caelid were probably together. I know we talked very slightly about the Pangea stuff a little bit yesterday, but obviously we didn't have much of a discussion at all, so to just tie that in even further, I also think it's possible Liurnia should have been included into that, partially due to the types of trees and stuff we found down there in like the river areas. But I talked about that briefly when we first went through there, but it'll be a little easier to talk about when we go through like the actual consecrated snowfield. So for now, it's just a zoom on. Katie says, there's also the Black Blade Kindred here, so the grace might be tainted with the Root of Death. What's the possibility that the Forbidden Lands is a total different place, meaning not the lands between? I don't think that's very likely. I know some people have wondered whether or not Fair Missoula is technically part of the lands between, and I think that's a valid question. I'm inclined to think that Fair Missoula is still part of the lands between, even though it is kind of called like the quote-unquote times between in Japanese. So like the lands between are like Hasama no Chi, whereas Fair Missoula is referred to as Hasama no Toki, which is the time between rather than the land between, being a little bit repetitive there. Alright, not getting chased now. Do I think Geraint's Skull of Consuming Godwyn would have worked? No, I think the cat's out of the bag. There's too much Deathroot everywhere other than like the very small sprigs that we give him. Although, of course, like size in FromSoft games is very relative. It's not like we're actually wielding the 30-story tall bolt of Grand Sax when we pull out the spear ourselves. Hey, Earthmind, welcome back. You think Morgott just sealed off the route to the mountaintops? No more, no less? Japanese is literally like banned place. Yeah, and I think Forbidden Lands gets that across pretty well. You think there's content where the giant skulls were in Limgrave? Okay, that'd be cool. Because there is also that gigantic tombstone with the hole in the middle of it in Castle Morn, which there's also a ton of those around Altus Plateau, so I wouldn't be too surprised. Crow's taking off. Welcome back. Did you miss the major key difference between this version and live that I mentioned? If so, you got to find that episode. Yes, so that would have been the one where we went to Noxtella. I was leaving it a little bit suspenseful, but I can also just show it to you right here, which is the Night Maiden in Swordstress Puppets summons Marika Descendant. Summons the spirit of a descendant of Marika from nearby a rebirth monument found throughout the land. So yeah, that's the quote-unquote smocking gun of tying Marika to the Eternal Cities. I should probably try to level up my flask, so though I think I'm at max. Alright, so coming through here, I don't know if these trees are supposed to be related to any other place. They kind of remind me of the kinds of brambles that we see the one statue that has like the person coming out of the tree. But yeah, I don't remember seeing anything like this anywhere else. Not that I think it's like crazily important, but who knows. So as we come up here, there will be another Valiant Gargoyle. Don't really feel like fighting it, but we should be able to summon Millicent for it, and I thought her thing was somewhere around here. Maybe it's a little bit further up. Okay, there it is. So we can summon her for this fight. And we could also just run past the guy and just go up the elevator if we want to. Yeah, it's a little too on the nose. You wish more Souls fans embraced the rule of cool principle? It would be easier. I don't know. It's a little bit disappointing to just kind of write some things off to rule of cool. Like, I understand the desire not to do it. Like, I'd try not to do it as much as possible, but I mean, it is the rule for a reason, right? Oh, KD, you were just saying you think the grave in Weeping Peninsula or Castle Morn was there because it looks cool. You might be right. I don't know. So, do I want to fight this thing? Yeah, I may as well. It drops one of its gargoyle items. I think this one might be the Black Blade one. There's also the one outside the Bestial Sanctum, but main reason Boris thought about the fact is it's the only place with the word land in it. Oh, like the Forbidden Land, so you think it's different from the lands between? Why can't I summon the Mimic? Is it because I summoned Millicent? That's kind of annoying. If I remember correctly, these things don't breathe poison. So even though they're kind of a pain, they're a lot easier to deal with than the ones in like Noxtella. Oh, I got lucky. Sometimes it's a little harder to deal with them just because of the switching and aggro. Obviously, I'm doing okay now. She got blocked. I need a 1 flask to increase poise damage. There we go. I don't remember where that one is, though. Oh, and that reminds me, I should just switch my flasks up in general, because we've gotten a couple ones. Like the one that gives us unlimited FP for a second. Oh, what is that? That's super cool looking. That it got like super red and black like that. I don't remember if that's in retail or not. Oh my god, that's full on Destined Death. That just drained the heck out of my HP. That's pretty cool. Okay, it is in retail. Yeah, I just avoid fighting these things a lot because they're annoying. Mortis always looks for the simple solution, but going deep into speculative stuff is not his forte. Understandable. Sometimes it does really just like Berserk and it shows. Yeah, I like how the Great Sword is in pretty much every game. If you die once, you can... Okay, we found him. What's my least favorite enemy at higher NGs? A great dragonfly. I don't know if that's a fair enough answer. If you do an RL1 playthrough, you realize that in all the FromSoft games, the only stat you need to level is health. Yeah. Well, even that is arguable, because if you don't get hit, you're golden. But I feel like no hit run is probably a lot harder than Elden Ring, just because some of the boss attacks, like Rykard or Radahn, are just, like, kind of ridiculous to avoid. So I must have just been, like, standing in the worst possible spot that last time. I'm glad I picked up my runes. Hey Colo, welcome back. You don't need adaptability in Dark Souls 2. It's definitely helpful, but honestly, I didn't really notice that big of a difference. But also when I went through, I ended up just like saying screw it and like played a caster. Hitless strats involve the Assassin's Gambit, Art of War? Ash of War. Okay. Oh, wait, is Assassin's Gambit the one that you get from Yura, which is called like Raptorial Strike or whatever it is in this version? Where you just turn into a cloud of smoke and drop down? What's it called? Wait, I should have picked it up. Yeah, Raptorial Revenge. You buy it from Bernal. Okay. If you're good enough, you don't need any stats. True. Oh, you turn invisible? That actually works? I thought like most enemies would still kind of detect you. Wait, that works against bosses too? It's kind of OP. Ooh, you almost got there. Oh, even the scream does Destined Death. That's cool. Okay. Wow, how did that miss? Good tracking. I should have known better. Get a Millicent. Uh-oh. This is the animation locked. Trying to, like, shuffle him away from her. Hey, I remembered to guard for once with my katana. That actually might have, like, saved my life. Because I was trying to roll, but I mistimed it, so... Like there, I tried to roll again, but I was slow. And that was bully me. Not gonna blame the game for that one. Really out of stamina? Okay. Whew. That's close. I thought I was going to flub that one up, though. Ah, I'm surprised that one hit me. Oh, and then it just, like, buffered my jump. Oh, okay. I thought I was going to miss that swing and then get caught. It was a little bit close. And I didn't even pick up my runes because I'm smart like that. So we get the Gargoyles Black Blades and the Black Axe. Sweet. Doing a level 1 run of almost every game. Your difficulty ranking is Dark Souls 2, Elden Ring 1, 3, and Demon Souls from hardest to easiest. Dark Souls 2 is harder than Elden Ring. Like, on one hand, I'm not that surprised, but I kind of also am, because it's like a slower game. Why would you think, like, 2 is more difficult? Because I feel like Elden Ring would just have, like, more BS mechanics with, like, the Rykard fight. Although, you might not just be doing, like, a full 100%, are you? I don't know. A little bit curious. A creator who's been doing a lot of no-hit challenge runs on Elden Ring is Gino Machino. He did a run of DS3 at New Game Plus 7 with no upgrades. That's rough. Since Malekith is the sealer of Dust and Death, all he allows to use it channel the power from him. You probably need to reword that, Mortis. I'm not tracking, unfortunately. People defeated Midir with their fists at level 1, so anything's possible. Like with no-hit runs, I feel like part of the thing that why it doesn't interest me so much is I feel like you really just need to exploit enemy mechanics. Which, I mean, is perfectly fine for other people to do, but it's just not something that I want to do myself. Obviously, as I'm like exploiting Hoarfrost Step and all that stuff, but I am still like fighting mano a mano sometimes. I just mean like the one move that you could fully exploit with a boss, which is ideally the smartest way to play, but it's just a little bit too passive for me. Does a god really have power over who can cast its spells? If Malekith could stop you from using Beast incantations, you're sure as hell he would. Same for Elden Beast. Yeah, that's also a good point. Like, the Fire Giant god is more or less sealed in the Fire Giant. Big revelation, I know. But just rando flame monks are able to use its incantations. Do people channel Dust and Death through Malekith? Oh, okay. No, I don't think so, because Ranni took a portion of the rune. So it seems like the power comes from the rune itself. And if Malekith is like the bearer of the rune, I don't think like he's a conduit for the rune's power. Like, not directly anyway. But that's an interesting question. Midir is supposed to be the final challenge of the Dark Souls series. I do prefer Gale as like the capstone boss of DS3 and whatnot. You're gonna T-pose later and think a bit on Fern Theory with the solid clues because you're convinced that this is not the lands between. Okay. Alright, Katie said for DS2, adaptability is a big part of it. The other is that a lot of the bosses in DS2 are more BS than Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, it is also really easy to make yourself OP no matter what. Okay, I could see that. Yeah, because you can summon and stuff in Elden Ring, although that's a lot harder to do, like level 1, because you have less stats, but you can still do it. Alright. So now that we beat that gargoyle, we come to the Grand Lift O rolled. And let's check out those gargoyles' items. Bronze Twin's Blade wielded by a gargoyle champion, patched with blackened grave wax. Such is the mark of those who serve Malekith the Black Blade. And then we have the axe. And it's pretty much the same thing. Warrior's Roar and Spinning Slash. So one of the differences between the normal gargoyle black blades and the regular variant is that these also scale on faith, so Destined Death seems to be faith-based to a certain degree. Which is, it's also true of his incantation and stuff. So it is at least different from hexes, which also scale on intelligence.
You, please, I can read them. Your fingers, please, your fingers. Turn back. Ahead lies the land of the giant's flame, and the way forth is forbidden. Hear me. The burning of the Erd tree is the first cardinal sin. Doing so will unbind destined death and slay the world itself. Who would dare put you up to such a task? Most certainly not the fingers.
So this Finger Reader Crone's dialogue sets the stage to really begin to doubt the things like the fingers, because once you do play through the game, you realize that unsealing Destined Death doesn't automatically destroy the world. It allows you to burn the impenetrable thorns on the Erd tree so you can go to become Elden Lord. So if that is against the wish or desires of the two fingers, it really calls into question their kind of authority there. So, yeah, she mentions the cardinal sin and stuff, and we've talked about that in the past, whether or not the Erd tree was burned. And when that happened, on one hand, it seemed like it would be likely to have been when there was the war against the giants, and it was the beginning of the age of the Erd tree, so maybe they burned an old Erd tree to create their Erd tree, and that could potentially align with the one statue with the brambles and stuff, potentially holding a sprout that could have become the Erd tree. It's a pretty popular theory. I think there could be some merit to that. So as we come up here, we do get some interesting statues as well, because these guys are holding what look to be similar to the Staff of the Guilty, or what are they called? The Death Right Pokers? No, not the poker. The other one, the Death Right Spear, something along those lines. And although I can't really show it off super well here, because it almost requires a free cam to show off, on the tops of their heads, there's this little sigil looking thing, which kind of resembles that of what you would find on the Black Flame monk set, or also just any of the Fire monk sets, really. So it kind of looks like that. It's slightly different. So I've wondered if it's supposed to be related to that as well. Dark Souls 2 and 3 probably have the most honest Souls level one. You didn't cheese pretty much any boss there. You'd honestly recommend trying DS3 SL1. It's really fun. Hey Spaghetti, welcome in. Grandma Angie. Yeah, the two fingers were unaware of Radigan's Thornberry, as Mortis points out. So if they're working on behalf of the greater will, and they could be, it does show that they're not quite up to date on the events and the ongoings of what's going on in the lands between. Golo says, "You're pretty sure it was Marika who sealed Destined Death, or who made the rule that it's supposed to be sealed? It's her golden order after all." Her order? Golder? Yeah. So, also to just go along with that, since Malekith serves Marika, I believe it's his set that says, like, Marika's sole use or desire of her Shadowhound beast was to seal Destined Death. So, right, talking about these two statues, they're different, and they could imply that this Lift of Rold is potentially older than the Age of the Erd Tree if they're like depicting these kind of monks before everything happened. But on this side, we still do have like kind of more stereotypical Erd Tree iconography, although the helmets for these guys are pretty different. Like, they're not actually like the Lane-Del types. And I don't think there's any of the other side statues on this that you could see in like Dectus, which look more like Altus Plateau-y stuff. What's up top? Okay, so you do have that woman with the spear. Okay, and then those dudes surrounding her are the more like Lane-Del type stuff. So it's possible they like retrofitted things. And man, I wish I had the free cam because I don't remember what's at the very top, way up there. And I can't like rotate my camera enough to see. So anyway, hoist medallion. There is something that is a bit confusing. Does deathright mean undeath? Because there's so many types of death. Destined death, which means erasure. Proper death, which means Erd Tree. Living in death and the deathright seem to be both concepts of temporary death. I think destined death is kind of permanent death, and it's the death of the body and the soul. Is the Rold lift reversed from the lift of Dectus? So I don't think these two statues up front here are in the Dectus one, although we can go over there and show it off since we haven't gone that way on this playthrough. You think the Rot, Blood, Death, Fire, Giant God, etc. were all part of the Order, and Marika outlawed them, for lack of a better word? I don't know if she outlawed all of them, because the Ring of Scarlet Rot is in the Elden Ring, or maybe... What? Uh-oh. Oh, it's just all super foggy. What the hell? That was legitimately terrifying for a second. Beast Blood. Alright. I will get the next site of grace, and I'll leave your Riri. Oh yeah, but before I go, I meant to point out, like on the last one, we have the Chloranthy design on this lift as well. We've got the Erd Tree off in the distance. That way, we saw it. Well, it's there anyway. So it should be like that way. And then as we come into the Mountaintops of the Giants, we do get a bunch of like literal spirit trees, which has always bothered me. I wish we knew more about them. In some ways, they kind of resemble what you would see in the Dark Moon Greatsword, or whatever it's called in this game. The one that Ronnie gifts us. But it could just be a passing resemblance rather than anything specific. So we got the map of the Mountaintops. And a Fire Blossom. So Yura is over there already. When we talk to him, we will get special dialogue from Melina. But I'm probably going to save it until... like right before we go to the flame, or the kiln, just to keep some of that stuff a bit more together, because then we'll go to Fair Missoula and then potentially purge the Frenzy Flame by Placidus Axe. So we'll talk to him and Hayata all at once, and no, I think I already did talk to Hayata, but at the very least we'll like do him and like get frenzied and whatnot. So we'll spare Melina. Let's go to the Dectus place, and then I'll look at the maps. Hey, you're finally awake, exactly. Pretty much whenever I see like a screen fade to black for an extended period of time, I'm expecting it. It's like the gamer version of being rickrolled at this point. Kolo says, the mushroom helmet thing implies there were lords of rot in the past. So you assume there was a point where death and rot were part of the order, maybe before the Golden Order. And yeah, and some of that stuff is even more confusing because if that predates the period of the Erd Tree, it does bring into question like when the Elden Ring came into being. So yeah, coming to the Lift of Dectus, we do have the same two statues over here. The top ones are the same. Who's that at the very top? This is probably a little bit clearer. Oh, it's just like a Landell Knight guy. So it's the same as the dudes on the side right there, but just bigger. And so these guys over here are just wielding some like almost catch pole looking like things. I don't remember what these are actually called, but these are like more priests than anything. And one thing that did catch my eye about these ones is that they seem to almost be wearing like Rhea Lucarian attire. Or maybe it's supposed to be like a finger maiden. I don't know. You don't really get this kind of imagery in the game. Or at least in like the attire in the game. So yep, more Chloranthy style designs. Did I ever talk to this one? I don't know if I did. Wait. Is there no ghost here? Alright then, I'll lift ourselves up and then go back to the mountaintops. In Kolo's head, the greater will is the god of order, but not the golden order. Any order is fine, whether it's fractured, golden, perfect, duskborn, or even cursed order. Sith says, you don't think the Elden Ring governed the lands between until at or after the war against the giants at the point in the timeline. Are you saying that because of, like, the Elden Ring? Hey, Spectre, thanks for becoming a member, man. Thank you. So yeah, you should be able to get the special role automatically assigned to you in Discord, but if it doesn't for whatever reason, I'm going to need to remember to check that out. Alright, going back up. You think Fair Missoula is more recent than that? The game itself delineates a pre-post Erd Tree / Elden Ring split. So yeah, one of the more difficult things to parse with that is whether or not the Elden Ring had power before the Erd Tree came into existence. Because it might have. And if so, like that would also explain why people would say that Placidus Axe is an Elden Lord. But obviously my position on that has been pretty clear that I don't think he was Elden Lord. He may have been something analogous to it though, but with the ancient dragons being literally ancient, it's kind of hard to say when that period of time was too. What do I mean by that, or Teen Sith? Isn't the Elden Ring existent from the beginning of creation when it was sent by the Greater Will and a golden star? So that's a matter of individual interpretation. Like, as myself and Teen Sith were saying, there may not have been an Elden Ring control over the lands between up until the time Godfrey brandished the Elden Ring in creating the Erd Tree and whatnot. There's also the idea that the Elden Ring came into the lands between on a star and the Newman and whatnot came with it. So there was definitely life before the Elden Ring came into being, if you believe that description, which is also hearsay. And I know in this version of the game it's not the same, so Ancient Elden Will shoots light that splits while homing on enemies. So yeah, but let me pull that up real quick. Elden Star. It is said that long ago, the Greater Will sent a golden star bearing a beast into the lands between, which would later become the Elden Ring. So, I personally think it's possible to take the Founding Reign of Stars description, which maybe I should read that, yeah, because to potentially be the genesis of the Elden Stars arriving in the lands between, but it's also arguable. So, Founding Reign of Stars. The eldest primeval sorcery is said to have been discovered by an ancient astrologer, a sorcery of legendary status. Summons a dark cloud of stars overhead. Shortly after, the cloud will release a violent deluge of star rain. This sorcery can be cast while in motion, charging increases potency. Thought to be the founding glintstone sorcery, the glimpse of the primeval current that the astrologer saw became real, and the stars amber rained down on this land. So, if you take amber to be related to gold and the Elden Ring specifically, maybe the Elden Ring existed out in the cosmos and whatever, and you could still argue that, like, its existence being removed from the lands between doesn't, like, diminish its power, which would kind of go along with Ronnie's ending. But as far as its control over the lands between goes, there's nothing to say that the Elden Ring really is the genesis of all life as a product of being in the lands between. So, sorry if that was a little bit unclear. I didn't articulate that quite as well, but I think it's good enough. Yeah, and as Teen Sith says, Elden Stars confirms the Elden Ring is not native to the lands between, but to be fair, it is said. Oof. And of course, that could just be more of a rhetorical device, and so we just need to wait until 2 sequels final DLC gets released for us to get a completely different answer. Malbit, welcome back to the stream. Did I know the Buckler shield has a special parry Ash of War called Buckle Parry, unique only to that shield? It makes it easier and faster to parry, more so than regular parry, similar to Dark Souls. Yes, I did actually know that one. Mortis says, the Founding Reign of Stars being the event that the Elden Ring landed would make sense. That's kind of how I feel. And Teen Sith points out the Japanese for Newman is Marebito, which we've talked about on stream before, literally visitors. Yeah. So like I said before, I think like some people take like Marebito to mean like aliens, which is kind of true, but it doesn't necessarily mean that specifically. Oh yeah. This is called Gleiss ruins rather than Zamor ruins, I think, in retail. But going back to the Marebito thing, it could just be like any visitor, not that one specifically, not like aliens. So one analogy that I like to compare it to would be like Tinkerbell from like Neverland. I think that's kind of like the best example of what I think a Newman is kind of like. Blizzards of Zamor. I thought there's a place underground in here. But I do not like to spend any time here longer than I have to, because the Zamorians are beasts in a non-literal sense. Speaking of enemies that I would rather not fight in like a higher New Game Plus cycle, you could definitely add those high to the list. Just gonna reset to get that aggro off. Kolo completely disagrees with that, and you mean really disagree, as in way off the mark. The ring is far older than Godfrey, all the way back from Fair Missoula. If the Elden Ring was added, then it must have been between the Dynasty and Fair Missoula. Yeah, which is perfectly fine, but I mean, even the Elden Ring's ties to Fair Missoula are suspect because America has indirect ties to Fair Missoula through Geraint. Which is also why Teensa thinks Fair Missoula happened fairly later in the timeline. I'm more inclined to agree. KD has a theory or an interpretation for why the Greater Will sent it with an actual reason, although it hinges on your interpretation of the Greater Will being the sun. Is Marika a Nox? I don't necessarily think she's a Nox, but she seems to be Newman. I ran past the path downwards. So there's actually a place underground in here. Okay, thanks, Mortis. So is it in this first area? I don't see it hidden. Oh, wait. No. Should be indoors. So yeah, these things I believe are also immune to frost and bleed. Maybe just one. Nope, I'm definitely wrong. Okay. So they have decent frost resistance, but they're pretty strong. Okay, this actually makes them a lot easier to deal with in this version of the game. Core Frost Stomp, continuing being broken. Uh-oh. Hooray for being short, they missed. Mortis, were you just talking about the path to the mountaintop? Or, like, down the mountain? Not, like, a place indoors here? Or is it, like, the first building over there? No, the ruins here? Okay. I'm in the right area. Of course, with the stream delay. It's kind of off on its own. Thank you. I'll have to use my cursed eyes for once. Okay, now we get a good look at the Erd Tree. Okay, yeah, I remember now. That's a lie. I don't remember, I just see it. Uh-oh, I goofed. Yeah, these things just hit extremely hard. Also, they're really tanky. Hoarfrost's step makes them look not nearly as tanky as they actually are, but it takes like 3 bleed procs to kill them? That's kind of crazy. What am I looking for? I'm looking for whatever this is. Smithing Miner's Bell Bearing. Oh yeah, that's actually a good one to get. I don't think that's there in retail. The timeline stream I did a few months ago was good. It'd be cool to see another one. Oh shoot. After this playthrough's over. I don't really think my opinion has changed. I think if I did another timeline video, I would polish up the Miro board a lot more and maybe like make it a more dedicated video. Which would be a real pain to do in terms of like scripting it out. It'd probably just have to be rough like the other one I did. But yeah, just one issue with just like having a fully scripted timeline video is just that obviously my interpretation of the timeline differs so wildly from what most people consider. So people are just gonna probably fall off watching it. Like, as soon as they run into something, they're like, oh, no, I don't think that. Hey, Borquapsico, welcome back in. That drops from Godskin? Yeah. No, is that number 4? Yeah, the duo. I know that they drop one of them. I don't remember if it's the normal one or if it's somber. I think it's like the normal tier 4, right? I think the final version. A meteor hit Fair Missoula, hence the ruins in Limgrave and Liurnia. But was that meteor the same one carrying the Elden Beast? There's something with the crystals under Ray Lucaria and Rock God too. Oh yeah, that's another thing that is good to bring up. So thank you for that. Yeah, a lot of people think that the Elden Ring is what hit Fair Missoula and kind of caused the collapse of their society and everything. I don't necessarily believe that. I got distracted by like both of the area dialogues popping up. Yeah, I don't necessarily think it was the Elden Ring and its arrival which sent Fair Missoula into the sky. Kolo sometimes feels like they need to make a video themselves to explain the evidence and logic why they think the parasite theory is nonsense. Do it, man. I mean, only way to set the record straight is to do it yourself, right? My willingness to push ideas forward is good, so you think I should probably make that kind of video? Even if it gets people mad? So I didn't like finish my train of thought because, you know, maybe ADHD or whatever. It's really just more like trying to multitask everything. But I don't really mind if people disagree. I think the issue is trying to articulate things in such a way that's natural, that's concise, and answers people's questions as they come up or even before they come up is extremely difficult to do and get it polished to the kind of quality that I'd like. But as they say, like, sometimes an imperfect plan perfectly executed is better than a perfectly executed or perfect plan never executed at all. Which is true. And also, like, higher effort doesn't necessarily equal, like, higher views. I can tell you guys that much. And obviously, like, I don't always do... Like, my channel isn't particularly for views so much, but I won't lie and I'll say that they are motivating to have, like, better view counts on my videos, especially after going through, like, a lot of effort for things. So that is something I've thought about going back to. There's just a lot of other stuff that I also want to cover. I really just need to, like, put out more content in general. It's a little bit easier said than done, as you guys might imagine. Alright, I didn't think there's anything over here. Okay. Trying to remember if there's anything under this one. Okay, there is. Kolo says, for their video idea, it's a lot of work and probably nobody will watch it. But you just feel like it would be such a shame, like, people convincing themselves that linking the fire is the good ending and Gwen is a hero. So, Kolo, if it is any consolation, like, that's kind of more or less how my channel started out. My very first video was on the Cleric Beast in Bloodborne because I knew I would do a bad job at it because it'd be my first video, so I wanted to just go with something to get the experience of, like, you know, gathering footage, doing video editing, and all that. So I did learn, like, you know, a decent amount of the process from doing that. And so my second video was my Bloodborne true story told, like the one that's like lost in translation. Because I was just tired of talking about Bloodborne with people like on Discord and whatnot, and having to constantly repeat myself, especially in regards to the differences in translation. So sometimes if you're just compelled to dunk on other people's theories, it can be as good a motivator as any, and as good a way to start a channel as any. Because after I made that video, like, it probably had like maybe 200 or 300 views for like the first 2 or 3 months, and then it just kind of randomly exploded after that. No idea why to this day. And so that kind of helped my channel get lifted up a little bit. Not that my channel is like super big to begin with, but sometimes just that kind of passion can pay off. So don't always sell yourself short. Maybe HD is your new favorite word? What? Oh, everybody wants Tenchu. A parasite extracts something of value from a host body. Besides worship, the greater will gets nothing. So, right now it gets nothing, but during the time of the Golden Order, there were still people's dead bodies and spirits being funneled into the roots of the Erd Tree, so it could have been getting something. Now, I'm not necessarily like a complete proponent of the parasite theory, but I do think there is some merits to it. Thanks. Oh, Iron Body. The most riveting way to fight enemies. Alright. Oh, sweet. Spaghetti says, if you think of the greater will like a Bloodborne Eldritch space god, it could be through that lens. Seems like it's a monster that dominates places for its benefit. Yeah, I think you might be able to compare, maybe not the greater will, but perhaps the Elden Beast, maybe similarly to the old one, or the Moon Presence. Maybe the old one isn't the best example, although I guess, yeah, people did say that like they gain their abilities kind of from it in a roundabout way. So maybe you can make that example comparison. Would the Alabaster and Onyx Lords be the ones who crafted the Crystallians? I don't know. Just post more content, Forehead. It's really easy, isn't it, Teen Sith? Oh no. Y'all are popping off. Yeah, your Radon essay stemmed from being annoyed at the lack of nuance or attention to psychology and discussion. Yeah, well, how many certified psychologists do you think are examining the games and making content? Hey Capendo, welcome back to the stream. Yeah, and as Malbet brought up, like Samuel L. Jackson. Sorry, I was just reminded of some guy I went to high school with. Thought his name was like Samuel Jackson, so it just kind of pops in my head when I think about that sometimes. Yeah, he didn't get his big break until he was in his like 50s and 60s, so sometimes stuff comes late. But I mean, it's also easy to just like wax poetic about that stuff. Like, sometimes even if you put in the work, it doesn't always pay off quite the way you might expect. I should have just kept attacking. Not to be like fatalistic, but just to be cautionary. Oh god. Well, I'm lucky that thing wasn't coming down right then. Nightmare is this kind of slaps. It's so much better in retail when it can just completely stun lock the Iron Virgins. Not that it's like bad now, but it's even better. I've convinced you you'll try making a lore channel and do a video even if it ends up sucking. You'll explain it bit by bit in the most simple and convincing way. Yeah, if you need help in the content creation process, just feel free to like ask me and I can help give advice or like pointers. If you want me to like review stuff before it goes live, I'm also willing to do that and give you like more direct feedback. Because there's definitely some things I wish I knew before I started that I know now. So it might just be helpful. The one thing you don't like about intelligence builds is the fear of running out of healing. For sure. That's all good, Mortis. Yeah, no, you don't have to do it today. No, do it right this second. Yogi Da Buffalo, welcome in. Do I think Ronnie killed Godwin because he was the oldest heir and could have been considered next in line for the Golden Age? I don't really know. I don't really think so, because I feel like she might have mentioned him in passing when she was talking about Empyreans and whatnot. But to be fair, when she does mention Empyrean, she's kind of using it more in the present tense. So maybe she didn't feel the need to include Godwin in her statements because he's not really a problem anymore. Poor land squirts. You think God just hates you every time you get going on the Shield of Guilty? Something just happens? What's with the blue or purple effect? Kind of like the crystals that appear when you consume runes. So I don't think it's just when you consume runes. Like if you look at any of your quote-unquote bloodstains, the blue and purple and reddish crystals also appear in tandem with the golden sprouts, which I take it to be as kind of emblematic of what glintstone is or purports to be from like Selen, that it's essentially like cosmic life. So I do think there is a kind of intertwining that should happen between what Selen says with the Elden Ring and also potentially at the cosmos in general. Can this dude go through this door? He should. Oh, fudge. Actually, this will make it easier to stomp. Oh, wait, we got this. That did no damage. That did damage. They explode when poisoned? Cool. Or Scarlet Rat. Magic is seen as super easy, but you gotta be pretty decent at dodging or you're done in a few hits. True. Yeah. That is something that I did like that they incorporated since the time of Dark Souls 3. I know it was a little bit controversial when they did it, but I do like the intrinsic risk versus reward at hand when you balance healing with healing flasks with like the magic flasks. So I think we just got twice. Meaning that room looks similar to the one that we've been in before, but I think it is different. Or maybe I just like ran past those things and didn't notice. No, okay. Wait, no, yep. There's the jars. Oh Lord, they coming. I rolled way too soon. I need to actually try to iframe it. I need to level up is what I need to do. Why do I have so many runes? There's just such a huge difference in the quality of runes that you get when you come up here. Sorcery is a bit of a magic art power situation with the way scaling works. You are not wrong. That's one of the funniest ways that I've heard it described, honestly. I was just trying to run away. Run away! I forgot this dungeon was a twice. I only ever remembered the Lane Dell being one. And for anybody who doesn't know, a twice is a kind of level making device that's used in like Mario Maker games where they repeat a section of a level twice. So they just call the rooms twice for whatever reason. Because you go through it twice. Uh-oh. Use a splash. This dungeon messed you up on your first run? Yeah, and we still haven't gone through the elevator bottom drop. Morrowind is your favorite game and the magic's amazingly overpowered? I probably do have at least one poison weapon. This dude's moving around. Oh Lord, he's angry. He should not be stuck in there, but he is. There we go. Finally dealt with one properly. Grave Glove Ward 7. This dungeon's hell. I don't know. Must not have been that bad to me because I don't really remember it. Oh, so this one brought us, okay, all the way back. Sweet. So now I know where I am. Now we're going to go up this way because we haven't gone this way before. That's what I get for like literally walking in the middle of a path. That's the one I just left, isn't it? I made a mistake. Fudge. Definitely made a mistake. Fudge. Yeah, I'll probably need to go back. But there are no more land squirts. Noted. Wait a second. Didn't one of these have like... I know a door should not be there. Am I going to stream when the DLC drops? I don't know if I would do it when it drops. Maybe I would, because I'm like comfortable enough with like the base game at this point. I don't know though, because it is kind of fun to just go through it blind, and just like being in a stream environment is a little bit rough, because I like to do really boneheaded, stubborn things. Wait, is that the only way? No, no, no. Okay, this is where I wanted to go. I don't want to deal with that one, though. Try using the shackle? No, I'm pretty sure, obviously, there wasn't the one. So that's not like an actual entrance. Run away. Alright, use those iframes. Heavy doors opened. So that should have been... That is not where we just were, though. No, I don't know where I am. Just record the first playthrough and put the funniest parts in place. It honestly takes a ridiculous amount of data to do something like that. Because you don't even realize how big my base game playthrough was. Like, by the time I quote-unquote finished, I probably had 300 hours. Well, that's probably not including... hold on. Like, 300 hours, but that's... What am I doing? Okay, so that's a pit, so now we're going up the right way. So yeah, I probably had about 300 hours in my base game playthrough by the time I would say I finished. But I probably finished like at least one new game playthrough well within 300 hours. Okay, now we're at the very beginning. Sweet. So we'll need to drop down this one next. You thought your 110 hours was bad? Well, I literally explored almost everything I possibly could. Yeah, so it's like 300 with everything explored is pretty much what I'm trying to say. Not just like a simple new game cycle. I screwed up somehow. Where am I trying to go? I know this is not the right way, but this is just too enticing. It lived. Oh Lord, he lived. I do not want to deal with that right now. With two heals, we'll go all the way back up. Yeah, you gathered some footage some time ago and it takes an ungodly amount of storage. Yeah, so even though I had like 300 hours on record, I filmed nearly most of it and I just trimmed down like a lot of deaths and like stupid things that I was doing. But I can't even tell you how many hours of like just raw footage of my first playthrough that I have. Fudge, I was not expecting this. Oh man. I don't think mashing helps against this guy. Holy crap, that was a lot of damage. Cool. This guy got so scared, he gave up. Glovewort Picker's Bell Bearing 2. Alright. Functioning AI. Revenant, welcome back to the stream. We got the death root. Now we can go get our heals back and then just keep exploring. You want some of that Mikola content back in the DLC? I feel that. Oh yeah, I need to level up. I've got... Holy crap. Yeah, I do think the illustrated tree spirits look like dragons for sure. I'll stop leveling Vigor once we get to 60, because then that'll be more than enough to survive like 2 hits from Millennia's Waterfell. This isn't right, is it? Which way do I go? I was not paying attention. I need to drop down? Yeah, drop down, that's it. You just put all points in intelligence and killed everything in one hit. Comet Azure and Terra Magica is a little bit OP. Just a little bit. Oh, duh. I had the wrong version of the elevator on this section when we first came over here. That makes sense. Yep. I forgot I sent it back up. Okay. Now we are golden. I know where we were. Katie says, hot take, but they're happy that they cut Mikola's ending. It would feel way too much like the good ending. Maybe. I think part of that is just like how the English localization for Rani's stuff sounds, but I don't think hers is supposed to be a bad ending. Nicholas says everything should grow, including the bad. Oh my god. Who would win? One tarnished or one little impy boy? Oh man, I aggroed it. I don't want to have to deal with this. Alright, yeah, so this little alcove thing right here... Oh, he came closer. I'm in a bind. So anyway, this little alcove right here is in kind of all the dungeon design. So when you have this one pair... There's a stake down here? When you have this one set of stairs, and if it's closed off back here, that means there's an invisible wall. Oh, okay, that's kind of sweet. It's a neutral ending. Oh Lord, he's angry. Average cat statue experience. Does anyone have any idea on what the final DLC boss will be? You can bet it will involve Deathblight or it will be Mikola himself. It's probably going to be a small fast boy. Or a big giant malformity. By which I mean it's going to be an ulcerated tree spirit, but you know, just for a different tree. Man, that lunge. Oh yeah, so worst enemy to face. This dude might unironically be it. For like higher new game plus cycles. Obviously I just suck right there. But I do hate facing the Erdtree Burial Watchdogs as regular style enemies. Even as bosses when they just like double up. Spectre put everything into vitality and strength and stack locked everything Extra going into endurance for unlimited power. Yeah, Unga and Bunga, it is a thing. I think it would be a lot better in this game if, oops, you could properly like break enemy limbs, which I've said before. Like, having stance breaks is really good, don't get me wrong, but it's a little hard to pull those off consistently. Oh no. Damn it. FromSoft cheated me. Oh, this staggers them? That changes everything. You hope the DLC is smaller in scale and that learn from the base game that enemies repurposed as mini bosses just suck. Why? Damn it. That was so smart. Such good play. Literally forgetting about the thing that just hit me not even a minute ago. Yeah, so sometimes having enemies repurposed as mini bosses or vice versa, I think it can be cool because it can show off a kind of player progression in a way that is a bit more organic and can feel better. So for instance, like in Dark Souls 1, it does kind of suck like fighting a bunch of Capra demons and Taurus demons all over again. Man, I hate those things. Oh no, and we knocked it back up. And I don't even think that this thing takes frost damage from it. The treasure was a lie. Couldn't even loot it. Uh-oh, I'm gonna get got. And it's in the air, so... Alright, what is up with that treasure chest, though? How did I learn Japanese? So I started off on my own, like in high school, like by getting a workbook and trying to learn that way, which is less than ideal because it's not like I pronounced things properly back then. Wait, it sent me all the way back up. I was out of the range of the stick. And then when I went to college, I took courses there and majored in it. Fudge, I was trying to defend. That's what I get. You did kill it with the frost pillar? Okay, you just like jumped over it. You feel as though game development has improved greatly over the years, but endings have just taken a nosedive off a cliff. You can't remember any recent game where the ending was memorable. Oof. Say hello to the puppy. Heard him scratching, shaking himself off. Spaghetti thinks the design of the bosses before this game had a more focused nature to it. You understand that an open world game has different priorities though. So some of the bosses I think are still like really good in terms of like having a focus to them. Like I think Moog is really good, Radigan is really good, Godfrey / Horlu can be good. Oh man, I rolled too slowly. Okay, the thing is still down. is about ready to roll into another ice trap. I'm so bad. But yeah, some of these other bosses are just a bit rough, and they feel like they need aggro taken away from them to deal with them properly. I think Garank / Malekith can be pretty bad. Morgott is also a good example of that. So yeah, I do feel like some of it is a little bit less polished for that reason. But other bosses are also, like, you know, fine. I don't really mind Placidus X that much, but he's just another big boy dragon boss, which has been done quite a lot in FromSoft games. Bruh. Maybe this thing needs to actually die? It's kind of crazy. I'm afraid as soon as I start my casting animation, he's going to do something stupid and, like, hit me. It still caught me because I got stuck on the wall. I don't think that's enough damage for it to be worthwhile. Oh, actually that pillar kind of helped me. Because these things, I don't know if there's like a good way to like stagger them. They're not actually susceptible to the crystal darts like the imps are. Wait, you can actually break through them? I've never actually... I probably have, but I don't feel like I was ever actually able to like stab them in the chest like that. I am very glad to be proven wrong there, though. There we go. Only 2,000 runes for that. And this thing doesn't work. What's up with this? It's just got candles. Oh no, those are my runes. Oh, I could have shown off my blue and purple glowing stuff. Can't even loot this. Which just goes to show like how stubborn I am. Alright. I'm still in combat with the other one. I can't just fast travel away. You could have sworn you used crystal darts on them before? I've tried the one... Oh man, it can come in here. I've tried using them on the ones in the giant hero catacomb, and they just wouldn't actually get confused like the imps do. So maybe some of them can be confused, but... Millennia is the only From boss you'd consider unfair, personally. And you like Ishin? Is there anything jumpable up there a higher out? Did I use enough of them? I mean, I assume so. If they come out with a remaster for the Bloodborne stuff, I might just remake a bunch of my videos, because Those were amongst the first ones that I did, and they're pretty rough in terms of like audio quality and just editing quality. So I might just like redo that aspect of them. Millennia isn't that difficult without Waterfall. Well, yeah. But you could say like a boss isn't difficult without any of their specific moves. So it's like the whole, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. Now, I feel like with Millennia, like, Waterfowl is extremely difficult to dodge. Like, worse than Ishin. Which would be fine if she didn't regain so much HP from using it. So I feel like they just need to balance, like, one of the 4 overpowered things that she has. Got Briars of Punishment. Oh yeah, I never read the map description. Or the Fire Blossom thing. Wait. So that one's giant incantations wasn't like black and red, which, you know, kind of goes without saying. However, the Black Flame monks had more black and red incantations. Isn't this auto drop something? Nope. Okay. That's just one that I always farmed. Arterial Leaf. Alright, alright. Yeah, I think like if you could block her attacks with a shield and she didn't lifesteal, or if she only like life stole like 1% of what she does, it'd be a better experience. Frost versus Fire, Frost won. Right, okay, so let's look at those map things. Map of Western Mountaintops and Environs. Okay, very straightforward. Fire Blossom. A flower that resembles the sparks from the giant's flame. Material used for crafting items. Oh yeah, no, that was an incantation. Briars of Punishment. Summons blood thorns from below to impale enemies. Alright. I guess we do have some of their corpses to look at. Not in the best of shape. I'll probably save that for when we get to the Flame Garrison. You thought the Shadow Clone Jutsu was easy to dodge because at least that has a set pattern? Yeah, I honestly don't think like Phase 2 is nearly as difficult as Phase 1 is, which is kind of funny. Well, it's probably because she has like more wound up style attacks. Oh no, I didn't get to the safe spot. Okay. So it's easier to punish Millennia in Phase 2 than in Phase 1 in some ways. Uh-oh. Oh, we can just tank it. I'm not going to worry about fighting that guy just yet. I'm going to get the Side of Grace. Talk to Millicent, perhaps, and then come back. I always think it's over here, but it's actually like way up there. If Waterfowl was parryable. Yeah, it is also kind of strange that you need to parry her 3 times to like break her stance. I wish like you could use Raptorial Revenge or whatever it is in retail, and that it would stance break enemies. I think that could like make up for it. Have like a different kind of parry. But her Phase 2 has more particle effects. Yeah, so with Millennia, if you're like right under her, you could either dodge the first Waterfowl strike. No, I don't think you can actually dodge that one if you're like right under her. There might be like a set path, but I just try to... It's You have to dodge out, then in, and then in. Yeah, the multi-parry thing is because of how Gwyn was trivialized. You know, I understand that. It's just a little bit annoying. In general, I think. Oh, yeah.
To think we'd meet in such a place. What could your purpose possibly... No. I know well enough who you are. And what I know is good enough for me. Call upon me again, in battle, should you have the need. I'm searching for a fort to the west of the ruins. I'm searching for a fort to the north of the ruins. Indeed. I believe that is where Melania will be found. The Halig tree is hidden somewhere in these northern lands. I'm searching for her.
These games are getting progressively more and more ladies that are difficult to fight. So, not only that, but old men as well. Ucho Stretchy, welcome back. You never parried in Dark Souls 1, so Gwyn ended up being your favorite boss. So, yeah. Gwyn is how I learned to parry in Dark Souls 1. Because I didn't really feel the need to do it up until him. And then, oh man, it just... As Teen Sith said, it just trivializes that fight. He goes from being like a boss into a joke. Feels bad. Alright, so yeah, Millicent is continuing to follow Millennia's path. She tells us kind of where to go. Wait, did we ever get that marker off her map? Okay. So yeah, I was wondering if the Juno map marker would pop up, but apparently it doesn't. Oh yeah, let's go back to the golem and the other bridge. Scary grandmas are very dangerous. Yeah, I don't think we've had too many old women. The one that stands out to me as a good example would be Lady Butterfly in Sekiro. But she wasn't like a final boss. She was arguably the first boss. I meant to two-hand it. I didn't realize. Well, that's one way to stop visceral critical attacks. I almost got knocked off. That would have been funny. Elden Ring, please. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they fixed this because I don't ever remember having this issue. You'd be okay with the multi-parry if the riposte damage wasn't so low. Alright, so coming up here, rather than the old Chloranthy design, we have a kind of repeat of the motif, which appears on the Fire Giant's pot lid shield kind of thing. And I don't remember if there's anything like super cool on the sides of it. Oops. Yeah, nothing like super cool, so just wanted to show those off. What is that dog doing in the background? So he's like trying to scratch his neck, but his foot kept hitting his collar, so it was jingling. And now he's like sitting next to me looking up. Probably thinking about being a jerk. No, he finally laid down. Millennia's Rune isn't that bad if you have the talisman equipped that extends status buffs. And using Ashes of Wars from the Ornamental Blade or Millennia's Katana make the game more fun. Yeah, being able to use Waterfowl Dance is really cool. I wish ours was nearly as effective as Millennia's, though, in terms of, like, the knockback and everything. Or just being able to keep enemies stuck in it. So as we come... Oh, yeah. Talk about the lore. So as we come to the mountaintops of the giants, we get some more golem-type enemies, which might coincide with these gigantic ruins. These ruins can be seen all throughout the lands between. As I've mentioned before, we get these in the ruin-strewn precipice. And where else? In between, like, Limgrave and Castle Morn, that are, like, keeping the continents up, maybe? Not, like, literally keeping them up, but, like, stopping the land from falling away. I'm failing for the words. And these also appear in Caelid between Radahn's arena type place and the rest of the continent there. So I don't know if these were necessarily made by the giants or a civilization predating them. I do think that it's likely they could coincide with the Divine Towers and their builds. Except they do use a little bit of a different design. But what was I going to say? I'm going the wrong way. Well, not really. There's just not the way I intended. So yeah, if they weren't built by the giant civilization, were they built by the civilization that came before them? I don't know. Oh wait, it looks like we have more of those kind of weird brambles that we saw in the Forbidden Lands. They might be in other places that I just haven't noticed as well. And obviously, like, those aren't really brambles, they're like actual trees. So we can go over there and fight Borealis. I should probably do that, but I'll postpone that for a little bit later while we do the Juno thing first. So no dragon out there right now. Can we see? I was wondering if we could see the consecrated snowfield. So that's the burned Erd tree. And I've wondered whether or not the burning... Oh, we still have a HUD here. Whether or not the burning of the Erd tree in the first cardinal sin is supposed to be a reference to this tree specifically, rather than like the big Langdell one. But we don't know. Pretty. Yeah, I kind of like braces, Mucho. Thank you. Right as you clicked enter, I said it. Go beat up some snails in a cave. Yeah, that's a good cave to go to. Yeah, no, the shack was to the other side. That's where I meant to run the first time, but I didn't. But this way is just as good. If not, like, a little bit better, to be honest. Because it'll get me, like, right next to the shack. And I don't have to deal with much. Oh, yeah. So as we come up here, you guys, are probably somewhat familiar with this area and what's going to come up here. But you might not be as familiar with this version. Which, I say it like it's going to happen right this second, but no, it's going to take me a little bit of time to be scooting to get on over now. Zoinks. So we have another big old graveyard with which has like a bunch of those who live in death. But what's different about this one is it has a lot of the giant skeletons, the Gashadokuro type things. The beast eyes quiver due to the Tibia Mariner down over on the right. So I think in retail there's really only like one of these things that spawn in like towards the end, but these things are all over here. So I think they dialed it back. So I remember this one specifically in retail. So that's where Corrin and Goldmask will be, or are. No, they're on the next one over. I always forget. There's two bridges. But if we go on this way, or is it over actually by Corrin and Goldmask? No, okay, it's this way. We can go see the Juno Hoslow place. Then there's also going to be a Deathbird over here, which spawns even when it's not night. So part of me has wondered whether or not how Fair Missoula is potentially like the seat of the sun. Whether or not like the Mountaintops of the Giants could be like a seat of the moon, because you only ever get Deathbirds showing up at any time of day. Obviously the sun can still show up here and whatnot, but it's just all of it strange. And as we come over here... Wait! The Deathbird has boss music! The other ones didn't. So as we come over here, there's going to be a bunch of the demi-humans fighting like the bat people. Which also leads into how these things aren't demi-humans. Big surprise, I know. It's way more insane, much, much cooler, for sure. Yeah, I will give Corrin the potion. It's better with more giants. They're bad, but it's not Shrine of Amana bad, for sure. Mana Celeste is where the moon is always present. No? Yes. So that's specifically like Ronnie's moon, which I think could be different. But I do wonder why Deathbirds can show up at any time of day up here in the mountaintops. It could be because we're so high up or close to space and the sun's light doesn't reach as much, I guess. Moon is always visible in the mountaintops. You think too? Don't quote you. Okay. Yeah, there are two moons in Mana Celeste. The one like on the left should potentially be Ronnie's. Juno Hoslow, Knight of Blood. He gives us Hoslow's Oath. And because he's a whip user, he doesn't necessarily have to be in stomp range. But his IS no so good, so he will still walk into it. What a maroon. I'm the maroon. Oh. Wait, he has quickstep? That's cool. He doesn't really do a lot of bleed. I was just thinking how messed up it would be if we just got like giant sniped. Juno got jukes. The mountaintops are related to the spirit world? Perhaps. That's another good guess. But even so, just night versus day is a bit different. I don't think there are any crucified people up here. War Mad Hero Shack. Celestial do. It's a little bit strange that Dialos' brother is up here. Like, it almost implies that, like, this should be the Hoslow household. Not really, though. But just why here, of all places, in such, like, a decrepit shack at the end of the world? Alright, so let's check out the cool Dialos armor. Armor passed down through the Hoslo family. Heavy helm passed down through the Hoslo family. Alright, that'll be it pretty much. Alright, so that's that. Did we actually get the whip? We should have. Okay. Metal whip formed of a chain-linked blades that have the appearance of flower petals. This work of art is handed down through the generations of the illustrious House Hoslo. High dexterity is required to wield this weapon, but it excels at inflicting devastating blood loss. The tale of House Hoslo is told in blood. The skill is kick. He was like quick stepping, so he modified his whip. Am I going to kill the snaky? No. It's a good question. Honestly, I wasn't planning on it right this moment. Because there's still some stuff I want to show off here in the Mountaintops of the Giants first. So now that we've gone through like the House Hoslo derelict, whatever it is, there's like this pile of golem parts over here with like demi-humans picking through them. But more importantly, there's another traveling merchant up on beyond the Spirit Spring. This one should take us to Corin and Gold Mask as well. I think our guy is down over here someplace. No, I think I'm too low. No, he's over here. Oh yeah, it looks a lot higher over here. Okay. Let's see what he's got in store for us.
Is someone there? A customer? Well, how long has it been?
Polo asks, Beast man, demi-human, human? You know, I think it's natural to think that, but I don't really think it works out just because there's some weird stuff that goes on with the Newman being introduced to the Lands Between and what or how men differ from Newman. So Marika exists and she seems humanoid and it probably like predates a decent chunk of like what goes on in Fair Missoula if Malekith is the clergyman of Fair Missoula. But we also have Godfrey and Godric that appear humanoid. Spirit Flame Arrow and Perfumer's Bolts. So yeah, as far as like the evolution of man goes in the Lands Between, it's a little bit hard to say. Did the donkey just headbutt me to the side? Maybe. I know the animals can do that. If the Greater Will can make beasts intelligent and bipedal, then they can make them Newman-like. True. Well, maybe not true, but perhaps. So let's go deal with the Tibia Mariner. So that's Castle Sol. I tried many ways to like jump onto that parapet over there from like that cliff, but even if you land on it, it's too far and you'll die. So I think this Tibia Mariner is the easiest one to deal with. Time for me to like stream or die. We angered the snail. I really do like those who live in death snails. They're so random. I'm just gonna try to hit it once to see if it reanimates. Oh no. Sorry. The dog is like looking under the bed for something, so he's distracting me. I just heard this like random thump thump. So he's got the quatrefoils on his chair. Oh, excuse me, this isn't a tibia mariner, this is a bone collar mariner, right? But this one doesn't summon anything, which is kind of weird. I should probably upgrade my weapon, huh? It's probably been a minute since I've done that. Elfin Steeple, sweet, and the Death Root. Elfin Steeple is like one of my favorite items in the game. Not for any like particular reason other than I think it's cool and like it talks about the lampwoods and whatnot. Bold statement that a tibia is the weakest. No, I think it's the weakest of the tibia mariners that we fight. Because it doesn't summon anything, so you can just attack it. Humans might have been based on Numens and converged through regression. Maybe. But that also doesn't like really work in terms of how the Giant Crusher says like they're not as big as their forebears. Well, maybe it does because Marika and Radagon are tall. As well as like the Black Knives. There's a skip with jumping on the castle, but you don't remember how to do it. There's really no reason to try to do it, I think. Like, you can just walk to it super quickly. Maybe it's a speedrun strat, but you also don't really need that if you're just trying to get to the consecrated snowfield. Why is this stuff purple and red instead of blue? The Giants also had purple. Was Death purple at some point in development? Yes. So Malekith himself will use purple flames for his destined death attacks that are parryable with the Blasphemous Claw. And just to tie into that, the English version of the Grey Violet states that it's the hue of Ghost Flame, but the Japanese just says it's the color of Ghost Flame. I wish that I could take the English version as being more canon than the Japanese in this instance, because I think it'd be a lot cooler if the color of Ghost Flame changed from purple to being white. What are you doing? His head was just like fully under the bed as he's trying to get something. He must have lost a toy down there. Crazy theory, could it be the Rune of Death is in fact not just death, but also the Rune of Life? I think you need to die in order to be reborn, so I don't think it's that crazy. So, going back to Helpin Steeple. A greatsword patterned after the black steeple of the Helpin, the lampwood which guides the dead of the spirit world. The lamplight is similar to Grace in appearance, but it is said that only those who died in battle can see it. So going back to what we first saw in the very beginning of this playthrough when we went through the Forbidden Lands, there was the red wispy stuff down there which we don't really see anywhere else, and that's why I've wondered whether those Grace-like wisps were supposed to be related to a Helpin tree, because the lamplight is said to be similar to Grace in appearance. So that would make sense to me, but of course that's still just conjecture. But at least it seems a little bit more grounded than some other ideas that I've had. Color of, i.e. associated with it. So I think like the way to read it in English is that Ghost Flame should be violet, but it's obviously not violet when you see it. So maybe that would imply that the color of Ghost Flame isn't what it should be right now. So you could say associated with it. That's kind of how the Japanese reads. That gray violets are just associated with Ghost Flame. Yeah, and so as Kolo just brought up, I've wondered whether or not, and you know, the canonicity of this is dubious at best, unfortunately, whether or not removing the Rune of Death impacted Ghost Flame and the Black Flame of like the Fire Giant monks and all the other types of flames more directly than we might realize, or if like the Rune of Death being removed from the Elden Ring, just kind of fractured flame in general. But there's a lot of different kinds of flames, so I don't really know about that. Because, I mean, well, at least in this version of the game, Frenzy Flame is also purple. Well, not like the actual effects, but the madness effect. But I really don't like think that's a strong tie into the purple thing. It's just a random observation. Crow said, you thought someone said it was the flower of Ghost Flame. That someone was me. It was me. For all the color stuff, Girth's color wheel and his views on it matching the in-game clock fits the game quite well in your opinion. Okay. Sleep is also violet, and we enter Fia's dream to fight death, so maybe sleep is connected to death. Yeah, and that's one of the other thoughts that I've had about that in a broader perspective. I thought about like going full tinfoil hat in my gold and silver video and like bringing that up. But I mean, that video was already over an hour long. And sometimes you just need to cut things to make it a bit more coherent, and then just hope the audience can like pick up what you're putting down and come to those kind of observations themselves, which a lot of people did like kind of bring that up in the comments if I'm remembering correctly, which is pretty nice. Yeah, this Deathbird is pretty difficult. Uh-oh. I lived up until I rolled the wrong way. Wait. Oh, okay. The way that my Mimic was standing up, it almost looked like it was going to have the non-altered version of the thing. I thought he had like a gray back, like the cloak. The giants losing their god made them into trolls, so messing with the runes definitely changes the universe. You don't think most of the flames are related? Yeah, I don't necessarily think so either, but I have wondered whether or not Ghost Flame, Black Flame, and the Flames of Destined Death are meant to be more closely related, because they all just tie in very annoying ways, unfortunately. You pretty much consider only Blood Flame, Ghost Flame, and Frenzied Flame to be related? I wouldn't even consider all of those related. Oh, that didn't take as much life as I thought. Oh yeah, because I've been leveling up Vigor. To make my HP bar bigger. I need to level up my Mimic. That was a bad panic roll. Okay. Are his wings golden in this version? Yes. Maybe not like golden, but they're like yellow or tan. But they're not blue is the big point. So technically, rather than a death bird, this is a death bright bird, because he has all the dudes in his wings, as well as having like the big translucent looking wings. And they kind of have spears, oh sweet, which resemble what we saw on the Lift of Rold. These things. Oh man, my Mimic is getting got. Why is it spamming these moves repeatedly? I'm gonna die. Oh. I didn't see its second follow-up attack. Oh, that's the cool one. The big explosion that has like 5 tendrils which go out. Yeah, it looks more like Deathblight in this version. Katie says, oh, it's because they stem from emotions. That's why you consider them to be somewhat related. Although to the degree to which you'd consider Ghost Flame and Destined Death related. I see what you mean by related. I thought you meant like directly related, not like more thematically. Whereas I do think that Destined Death, Black Flame, and potentially Ghost Flame could be like directly related. Where are my runes? Because we have a boss thing, I don't see the marker on my minimap or on my compass. Oh man, that scream is just melting my guy. That's the spirit mimic. Uh-oh. He's gonna die. Don't step in the flame, idiot. Good use of starlight, though. Man, I do like no damage. Uh-oh, that's the big one. Don't go directly behind him. Okay. Oh, I need to get close to my mimic here. Uh-oh. Man. Out of juice. Alright, here we go. Oh, it's screaming at the mimic still. I thought my mimic was gone. Yeah, I can see why you guys think it kind of looks like it has glintstone on the inside. I never really thought of like glintstone specifically though. But I have wondered whether or not the Deathrite birds and death birds. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I had to iframe that. I could have ridden Torrent and just sprinted away. That sucks. Hey Foster, welcome to the stream. You're not mad at the yellow on these guys' wings? You get why they had to change it though? RIP. Alright. Thanks mucho, Stretchy. You take care. Wait, is that a horse tail? Yeah, they kind of do look like they have horses' tails. Imagine when it was a live golden and red phoenix looking creature. That'd be pretty dope. Although I have a feeling that they were probably never alive. Oh yeah, I already lost all my runes. I'm just going to go to the round table hold, see if I can upgrade anything. I'll just have to consume some runes. Fighting the birdie with the Golden Order Greatsword was one of the most cathartic things you've ever done. Nice. Boom goes the dynamite.
Greedy.
We should probably be able to upgrade the Mimic Tier all the way. So we're going to need a lot of rooms.
Greedy, you here?
Okay, that was enough for that.
Well, I took no man out. You.
So I need polar smithing stones. Just 3. What's my favorite farming spot besides that idiot bird? I don't really think I have a favorite farming spot in Elden Ring. What's the dragon's nuke attack? It's the highest tier of Ghost Flame hex that you can use. I think it's called Explosive Ghost Flame. Oh man. Interesting. Okay. I don't have the right one. We need to beat the Godskin duo, I think. Oh, Placidus axes? Yeah, so that's kind of like the Bolt of Grant's axe, essentially. Like, if you ever saw it up close, or kind of far away, really, it looks like the Bolt of Grant's axe, except it's red. Well, just having the Mimic Tea upgraded might be enough. Oh, looking at chat, almost got. Thank goodness for that second jump. Yeah, he stabs the lightning bolt in the ground, and then it blows up. The cool thing is, like, the music fades away when he does that. I didn't even notice it happened like that until I heard somebody else, like, point it out. You hate that the Deathbird's screech deals deathblight. Common sense tells you it's a thematic thing, but then Marika's Radigan time's convoluted, so there might be a connection. Yeah, I feel that, man. I may have made a mistake. Poor Torrent. Mistakes were made. Uh-oh. Oh, wow. I should have gotten grabbed. Who's it aiming? Oh no, he's Silver Misting. I don't think my own Mimic Tier Silver Mist hurts me. That's too slow. I was fortunate. Okay. Yeah, Mimic Tier's doing work now. Imagine having 4 tiers of upgrades, making a difference. Crazy, right? I literally didn't even see its HP bar move when I just hit it right then. Because of the silver mist. He should be using explosive ghost flame soon, since he's so low. Well, that's one way to use it. Death Ritual Spear. Okay. I was right. This is what it's called. Let me get like 80,000 runes. Holy crap. Those damn giants are so angry. Ritual Spear used by priests. Why is he still around? Oh, yeah. Ritual Spear used by priests of old who were permitted to come among the Death Raptors. The priests became guardians of the birds through the rite of death, which also serves as an oath sworn to their distant resurrection. So this is a little bit different, maybe gives a little bit more insight as to how this works. And because it's called like the Rite of Death and their skill is Reign of Death, it makes me wonder if the Death Birds and Ghost Flame are supposed to be related to the Rune of Death even more. Spear Call Ritual. What was that on Pedia's store? The icy blue thing? Which noises? So that's like the Way of Blue type ring, essentially, for this version of the game. Or not like this version, but for Elden Ring as opposed to like Dark Souls. Do you think there's evidence that Deathblight predates Godwyn and the Erd Tree? I feel like it's more like once the Rune of Death got, it just affected all other forms of death. And so that they were affected. You think the life in death and destined death are opposites? The Nox having Ghost Flame and worshipping the Twin Birds, while the Queen and her apostles have destined death. What random or minor things do I hope get touched on in the DLC? Like for Foster, it's that one of the one-off poison swamp outside Castle Morn. It's 99%. Probably nothing, but it could be like what the rock god is, like something sealed into the lake of their element. So I was hoping that with the lightning strikes hitting the earth, that there'd be like a secret mechanic with that, like either summoning down dragons. But I think if they're gonna do a DLC, it'd be super cool to like have an item where like you get hit by one of these bolts of lightning and it like sends you into the sky, into like a different island or something like that in the sky. Kind of like the Fountainhead in Sekiro, maybe. The Fountainhead Palace. The Eclipse wards destined death and requires death's curse marks to make, so they won't seem to be enemies. Oh, they requires death curse marks to make the Eclipse, so they seem to be enemies. Okay. Let's go ahead and level up a little bit more. So now we get to Castle Sol with the Eclipse. Before that, and this still works in retail, I would like to show you guys the Consecrated Snowfield skip, which some of you are probably familiar with it already. I might screw it up once or twice, or 5 times, 20 times on a stream, who knows. It's a little bit annoying to go to. Alright. Probably faster from the other side of Grace. Okay, no, I did want to be down there. I just wanted to double check. So I used this thing as my landmark. Then I hopped down there because it's a little bit counterintuitive. It would almost seem safer to like jump up there. But you actually want to be, I think, like right here. Oh, no, no, this is the one. Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's this one. So, you don't want to actually be up there. Just being kind of over here should be good enough. Now, if you look down in the cliff, you can't exactly see it from this angle, but there's like a hole, there's like this round arc looking like thing in the rocks. And if you like try to aim in the hole under it, you'll be able to get your corpse to land in the consecrated snowfield and get picked up into the Stake of America down there. So I'm going to lose out on like 30,000 runes, but that's not too big an issue in this section of the game right now. Now, I might screw this up like a couple times because it's a little bit finicky. Oh, yeah. Okay, I need to be further to the left. I was a little bit too close to the wall. Because my corpse didn't slide down. You never did it. Maybe you should try it next time. Yeah, with this, you don't need to get both halves of the medallion to go down to the place. But it's also not too difficult to get both halves of the rolled medallion. Moon. Alright. Want to climb up. So last time I went a little bit too far to the right. So let's go out a bit further. Okay, that's a little bit close. Okay, so I need to be even further to the left. So that was almost there. Oh, no, I did it. No, I did not. Why do we never see a full moon in the game outside of Renalla's boss room? It's always in a crescent state. It might be because like the lands between are in a pseudo type of stasis because of the Golden Order. As they say, like the House of the Erd Tree and the House of the Moon were conjoined, and like they were fettered. It should be in the telescope description. The fate once writ in the night skies had been fettered by the Golden Order. And Muriel's the one who says, like, the House of the Erd Tree and the House of the Moon were conjoined. Alright, so pretty much just straight out from there, maybe, is what I need to do. I probably jumped too soon. Okay, I'm good. We totally did it this time. So that's the little hole that I went into. There's like that triangle shape donut thing. Hey, Stake America. There's a way to kill Niall by jumping off the cliff. That's cool. So hey guys, look, we got a tree guardian over there. Oops. Over there in the flask. These dudes don't screw around, though. And these Albinorks also don't screw around. These guys have, like, golden eyes, though. And they can also use Golden Order incantations, which is kind of crazy to me. I don't exactly know why, to be honest. Maybe it's because they just have the faith. Yeah, I definitely need to upgrade my weapon for this section of the game. Alright, I don't really intend to like go through Ordina right now. I just kind of wanted to show this off because it's cool. Although I will show off this. So normally when you come to Ordina, the liturgical town, there's a neat little corpse down here that you can loot. That is not in this version of the game. So we cannot get the Black Knife set. Black Knife Assassin set. Just a nascent butterfly. Who figured that out, the jump? I don't know who figured out that one. Like, I didn't see anybody do that one. That's just kind of one that I did because I heard you could do it. So, somebody else probably, but also me. I don't know. Poor Torrent, always dying to save or sorry hide. But he's a spirit. Can he really die? Right. I just wanted to get that unlocked. Now I'll go back to Castle Soul. Maybe pick up the runes that I left. You didn't realize the two areas were right next to each other. Makes sense now that they both have the lightning. Tree guardians and the poison and the flowers make you think the Erd tree is connected to rot. The gladiators who guarded the tombs were covered in rot. Some of them are. So the ones that are like covered in rot tend to be up here in the snowfields, which is closer to like where Bolenia's hideout is. So that's kind of related. We also have ulcerated tree spirits in Caelid and up here. And of course the Lake of Rot. So the Lake of, well, rot in general can infect the Erd tree, which is pretty clear. But it was sealed off at some point. Oh yeah, I never looted or Starlight Shard. Not that we need them anymore. Alright, so Castle Soul. This place is very intriguing. So obviously we have like the old style cemetery outside, hinting that this place is probably older than a lot of other places. Not really, because I mean you can find those cemeteries wherever, to be fair. But, alright, this dude's chiming is probably going to be kind of annoying going through here this entire time, so let's try to get it. Oh, sweet. There was only 2 legs worth. How many runes did I get? So I left like 29,000 and we got like 2,000 for killing the one Albinauric. Or like 3,000 maybe. The person who figured it out was a genius, so you don't know how the proper euphemism would be. Well, I mean, this is pretty par for the course. Like, a lot of speedrunners will like look up how to glitch into different places. I mean, the thing that really blows my mind is what do they call it? Like the hopping glitch, where the zooming glitch, where they just like guard. Well, I don't remember the inputs or like what they actually needed to use, but the place where you could like literally fly across the continent to beat the game within like literally a half hour from just starting. That's the stuff that just astounds me. Minor Erd trees themselves have some flowers that are similar to the pink ones in Caelid. No, so the Guardians do. I don't remember if the actual Erd trees themselves do. Alright, so this might be like a more of an alabaster type body because this one had a bell on it, and I think the ones without the bells have darker skin colors, if I'm remembering correctly. And these ones also can give you any type of rune, whereas the dark ones only give like the animalistic ones. And I don't really know why that they don't give you like the shard bearers remembrances, or if there's like a lore reason for it. Alright, so we know that the 2 fingers are supposed to be able to distract beasts, but for whatever reason, the giant lion type things aren't affected by it. Wait, what? It is affected? I gotta check my notes now. Right, that is arguably. Yeah, okay. Maybe not. And of course these ones have frost breath because they're in an icy area. The real rule of cool. I think I just hit it. Can't tell if it's actually getting distracted or not. I feel like that's a no right there. Let me actually check my notes. No lion. No lion. So yeah, none of the lions or leonine type dudes are affected by this, as far as I know. So maybe it's a little bit of a fluke that it kind of looked like it would. But I'm gonna keep testing. Well, that's not good. Yeah, because normally things would just completely stop attacking my direction and then go for it. So I'm gonna say that's still a no. It was just a fluke for a second there. Okay, sorry to get all distracted. Malbet thinks Radigan was a completely different person than America because of the game mentioning he's part giant while America is a Newman. The whole point of Radigan is America is to make the player realize that America is evil and deceitful, but most people completely fail to understand and assume they're fused people. Wait, what place Astynex would be a good farming spot? Oh yeah, by the snowfield. I'm trying to think of like, I never really felt the need. Oh yeah, the Hailing Tree is probably one of the best places. I think like not the Hailing Tree itself, but Elfile, like the brace. That's kind of like my go-to if I really ever wanted to. Just because you get so many runes down there, it's ridiculous. Made them angry. I don't want to deal with both of them. That's silly of me. The Manticore things are probably related to the Crucible and might have even been cursed human. So we do see that one is like transformed into a human with the silver tier. But thanks for saying Manticore. I don't know why I couldn't think of what they were called ever. I think that's probably the best description for them. I always called them lions, but yeah, they're definitely manticores. So we get a bunch of slugs here. But of course, since I'm indoors, I can't stamp effectively. Mogan Palace is the best farming location. Yeah, but that one's like way cheesier. But as for my favorite, I actually prefer Elfile. Or Elfale. Any reason to go over that way? I don't think so. Maybe there is. Got an angry exile knight. What a jerk. Man, the normal glintstone stuff just takes a lot of mana. Pleiades. Yeah, I didn't even think ahead enough. Anyway, we'll leave that guy alone. I probably should have zigzagged, and I probably would have been completely fine. Oh, Lord, maybe not there, though. I take it back. I take it back. Yeah, I normally don't go that way. You were torn between calling them manticores for accuracy and chupacabras for memes. Yeah, Shadows walk into that twice. Astynex. I think there's like a page in here or something annoying. Maybe not. That's more of the Rykard place. There shouldn't be any pages here. What am I saying? Okay, no, this is just the straight shot. Minus all the enemies. The Banished Knights here are super scary though. They just deal so much damage. And because they're spirits, they just teleport. And because they're spirits, they don't get bled. Wait, why didn't I just rest? There we go. Invisibility is the best part about the int builds. Alright, so in this version of the game, there is no Castle Soul Ghost right here. But we still get the Eclipse Hotel. And again, compared to the Stormvale Cathedral, Chapel, whatever you want to call it, this one has a different statue in the center of the woman pouring out the urn. And the Eclipse banners seem to be placed after the fact. Anyway, where are the curved swords? They should be like right next to this. Oh, okay, I was just blind. Storied Sword and Treasure of Castle Soul. An object of worship and sigil of Castle Soul, an eclipsed sun drained of color decorates this sword. Though the eclipse strikes great fear in the hearts of men, it is a sight from which they dare not avert their gaze. Prince of Death's protection. Holds armament aloft, imbuing it with a deadly enchantment. Versus Death Flare, which I think is what they call it in retail here. Yeah, so it's a little bit more ambiguous with like the Prince of Death stuff right here, but this does, at the very least, tie Godwyn into the Eclipse. And because Godwyn is called the Golden while he lives, and he's called the Prince of Death while he dies, that has made me wonder if him being alive was supposed to be representative of the sun to some degree. And with Ronnie being the moon becomes dark when it goes in front of the sun during an eclipse. So I wondered if that's kind of the symbolism behind this weapon in a nutshell. So, because this is the Eclipsed Sun Shotel, and this is Castle Soul, like the castle of the sun, soul means sun, I think the Godwyn and sun connections are possibly even stronger if this castle did belong to Godwyn. But we don't know that for sure, but I also don't think there's a lot to contradict it, which isn't like the best way to support a theory, but nonetheless. And it's still shooting me. Okay. I didn't even realize you could drop down there. Okay. The eclipse is the star of those who live in death, and it stalls destined death. What does the eclipse shield say in this version? I would need to... I don't have the normal shield. I just have the great shield, and it didn't really say much. I don't even think it really mentioned anything. But... why is he angry? I thought he didn't just aggro. I thought I could look at it in the back. Anyway... what's significant about this Banished Knight is that he has 2 red eyes. And I've wondered whether or not that's supposed to tie into the one cut quest for like Mikola's and the Banished Knight dudes, or not Banished Knight, the nomadic merchants, where they wanted to put the red-eyed folk to sleep. I think I might be confusing the 2 quests, but the red-eyed folk were crazy, and I think you were supposed to put them to sleep to get their dream brew, so that way it would like put them at ease. But that obviously got cut, and I might be misremembering, so just take that with a hefty grain of salt. The moon also goes black when the earth blocks the sun. That's not a reverse eclipse, that's a lunar eclipse. There's a difference between like a solar eclipse and a lunar one. Solar eclipse obviously is an eclipse of the sun, hence solar, and lunar is an eclipse of the moon, hence lunar. Are the enemies in here weak to holy then? Maybe? I don't really know what the ghosts are weak to. Bunch of rats. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think this took me anywhere. There's a painting in that place, and that's also where we got shot at before. But it doesn't really matter since all of our runes are gone. Soul is Latin and soul is Germanic/Norse. They did the teleport on purpose? Of the Banished Knight turning around? Yeah. I thought I had... oh, maybe I turned like enemy AI off when I like walked up behind it to look at its glowing red eyes. Alright. The same Indo-European root word. Does not open from the side. So I did need to go up there. Okay. Duly noted. I'll need to drop down and then go over that way. Okay. Cool, I'm in combat. Commander Niall is no joke. He can be a bit more of a joke when you use Bewitching Branches on his support. You can also find the Sunrealm Shield and the Undead Beastman in Fair Missoula. Makes sense since Godwin is connected to the Dragon Cult. As a Dane, Mercy can confirm. Cool. Yeah, Common Azure kind of makes everything a joke. I was wondering what the shield sound breaking was about, and then that explains it. Alright, I think it's time to snipe things for once. I do like that you can like drink on ladders. It's a little bit counterintuitive though. Oh yeah, I did buy a lot of those. Not that my dexterity and whatnot's super great. Literally doesn't matter. Okay. Having 60 int allows you to realize that throwing all of your mana at an enemy is a good idea. I'm using the wrong arrow. A little bit too much. Oh, he's like moving back. This is risky. Alright, I didn't think that would work. It's like Duck Hunt, but worse. He's not getting poisoned because he's a ghost. Duh. A little bit too soon. There's a Bloodborne remake, you'd want it on PC. Oh, he just juked the crap out of me. What? At least he's dying again. In your face, ah. I'm gonna die. Well, at least with that guy gone. What shot me over there, though? I couldn't tell. He's styling on me? Am I really gonna take that disrespect? Yes. Give me the iframes, please. Okay. Oops. Where did he go, George? Ooh. He's an extra. Oh. I was like, he's an extra ghost. He doesn't exist anymore. All of this just for a painting. But this is a really good painting. Sorcerer painting. This should be by where Corn and Gold Mask are. We should get the Great Hood from it. It's one of those words that's old enough that it's pretty easy to see the relationship across all daughter languages if you know what you're looking at. For the soul stuff, cool. Helios in Greek. The Mona Lisa's not as well guarded. Did you guys like see the video of somebody trying to throw paint on it? This room is pretty annoying to deal with. Wait, why is the Albinor not targetable? Okay, there we go. I don't think I'm going to be able to, like, one-shot it, though. Well, anyway, let's get got. So that Banished Knight you can't just run past completely because he actually blocks the way. There's nothing up here, by the way. I'm just, oh, there is something up there. Just gonna go back and reset everything, and then run up and deal with the boss after equipping some bewitching branches. Wait, was it a Van Gogh painting that got it thrown? The hell, I can't even read apparently. Holy crap. I thought it was the Mona Lisa, although maybe I'm misremembering. Where's our bewitching branches? I know we had like 5, and we used one on a broken enemy. We used it on Selin. Sometimes this dude can fully get up here, though. It's terrifying. It's like no safe route. Yeah, so we might die to this guy a couple times because he's probably one of the worst bosses in the game to try to solo. Ooh-wee, okay. You might be thinking of different stuff. Okay, maybe. So I'm gonna try to bewitch this guy because he's the badass. Sweet. But we should be able to stop this guy. Uh-oh, I'm too close, I'm too close, I'm too close. I'm fine. I just forgot like how effective Frost Stomp is on things. I thought this dude was like a spirit and wouldn't bleed. So yeah, worst fight in the game, guys. Veterans Prosthesis. Yeah, actually, in higher New Game Plus cycles, this might be like one of the hardest fights in the game, unironically. Obviously, we just cheesed the crap out of him right now, but... So here we have a gigantic flower, which I don't really know what to make of. It is a little bit similar to the chrysanthemum thing that we've seen in other places, but it is obviously different. Bladed prosthetic leg enwreathed with the power of lightning, instead attached to the fist. Commander Niall, veteran of Soul Castle, will offer this prosthesis in exchange for the lives of defeated knights held prisoner. He went on to lead these men as an army of no nation. Wrath of the Thunder God. Lightning kick. Interesting. So, I don't remember if I really talked about the commanders, but at least Niall does have a leg that's been cut off. I think O'Neill does too, but he doesn't have the prosthesis. I might be misremembering that. But their armor set, the veteran set, resembles that of the Banished Knight set, except they have more horns and stuff on them. They don't have a dragon on their helmet, but I do think they were meant to be related. Kind of like the Exile Knights are supposed to be related to Banished Knights. So, setting that aside, let's pick up our one half of the secret Haley Tree Medallion and talk to this ghost. Lord Mikola, I still cannot make pilgrimage to the Halig Tree. So as you guys can see, it is a little bit different in this version where he doesn't... What's he say in retail? He says... that he's dead and he still can't see it, or something like along those lines. I don't remember, but it's slightly different. So the retail does give us a little bit more insight into their relationship, but if I remember correctly, like his is a little bit more vague, because I know it's the other one that kind of can hint at Godwin, but I don't remember what he says specifically. Some wackos threw cake on Mona Lisa? Okay. They know there's glass over him. The point isn't to damage the art, it's to get attention. Yeah. Any publicity. Pretty much. Alright, so we got... Oh yeah, the one half of the medallion. Oh yeah, because we get the other one from Latenna. I forgot. So when we go that way, Latenna will talk, and I'll need to remember that. Because my first time going through the game, when Latenna started talking, I just like zoned out. So I had no idea what to do. Fortunately, I had like footage, so I like rewatched it. But if I didn't have footage, I would have been screwed. Not that it like really helped anyway, but... Tally fragment. Oh no, wait, we've already saw this. Tally fragment received from the All-Knowing. This tally is said to open the path to the Erd Tree. So apparently they were originally thinking of something with God or Gideon. But this is obviously more of a reference to the Dectus medallion in this version. Huh. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go back towards where Godwin and... Not Godwin, jeez. Corin and Goldmask will be. Yeah, this file will be fastest. Right, so we're kind of hitting our 3-hour goal here. So I think I will get myself into position for Corn and Goldmask and probably end the stream there, because that'll be a really good spot to pick it up for tomorrow. And then after we do that, I will show off like the hidden ramp to the one rise over here and get a kind of very special lore item, which is quite different in this version of the game. So there will be something really nice to look forward to for next stream. Although I'm kind of making a bigger deal out of it than it really is, to be honest. Okay, Colo put it into chat, the old Ghosts retail description. Thank you. Lord Mikola, forgive me. The sun has not been swallowed. Our prayers were lacking. Your comrade remains soulless. I will never set my eyes upon it now. Your divine Halig Tree. Okay, yeah. So there's something different in the Japanese about that. Rather than just like your comrade remaining soulless, there's something a bit more. I'll double check that overnight so that way I remember exactly what it is and I can talk about that first thing tomorrow. Maybe not first thing tomorrow, but maybe tomorrow if I get reminded. Because I might not remember. I'm really good about that. Okay, everybody. So now that we are next to Corn and Goldmask... Oh, shoot. Did the spirit pop up? That's probably on the other bridge, isn't it? Yeah, it might be. To get the Great Hood. Now that we're here, we have Goldmask pointing at the oh-so-radiant Erd Tree. with corn next to him. So this is a good spot to stop. Once again, thank you all for coming to the stream, chatting, and lurking. I appreciate it. We'll be going live again 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so hopefully we'll see you there. Alright, everybody. Take care. Last Protagonist out.